Hey, welcome everybody. Another installment of Daf Yomi and the Rift, the concise Talmud. Perfectly legit. The Rambam endorsed using Rif as a substitute for the Gemara because sometimes the Gemara is just much to handle. Especially as it has to deal with disqualifying the views that we don't rule like, and Rif just goes straight to bring down just what we rule like, which is what you really have to walk away with. Okay, so we're on Daf Hey, page 5 in the Rift pages. But before I forget, another great reason why you should subscribe to the channel, even if it's just for tonight. Right, tonight is the yahrzeit of my Rebbe, owner of Moshe Shapira. So first of all, tonight, sorry, and of course tomorrow. So there'll be a lot of special presentations in his memory, and I'm going to, there's some shurim that I haven't, yet given another installment of, like Mar Nevuchim, Sari, Berach Hashem, and I'm going to give all those installments, that you've been waiting for tomorrow, and it will all be Lili Nishmas, my Rebbe, Moshe Ben, Rav Yitzchak Meir. But go to my website, to this important, go to this address over here, and you'll see a wealth of material about my Rebbe, Rav Moshe Shapira, Zichrono Livracha. Haspedim that I've said already in years past, and really good stuff, vintage stuff. And also I collated from haspedim that other people gave on him. So it'll be like a complete, a complete memorial experience, nostalgic experience, remembering Rav Moshe Shapiro. So go to that website, go to this address that I just put on screen tonight. Don't miss it, and tomorrow, a lot of special stuff in honor of Moshe Shapiro, as also, which includes, continuing, a lot of the series that we just started last week, Kutri, Moreh Nevuchim, Hakdam of the Rambam, Pirshav Shnaz Ram. I'm saving a lot of this stuff for tomorrow that should all be, given on the yahrzeit, be part of the Ilui Neshama, my Rebbe. So, subscribe to the channel to be on top of all these events, and all these presentations. It's all Ilui Nishmas, my Rebbe, Hagoner of Moshe Shapiro. Subscribe, please. All right, subscribe. Okay, now without further ado, let's get through today's daf. Okay, and I can't help but just want to offer on this day of the 6th of January 2020, just declare our on behalf of myself and all the authentic Jewish people, our full support for our great president Donald Trump, who is, there's never, I would say, the world, not just the Jews and the state of Israel, the whole world's never had a better friend. The only one standing up to the big bully, Iran, that if you don't stand up to them now, they will threaten the whole world. They are threatening the whole world, and I don't know why the whole world's not is making the same mistake Chamberlain made with Hitler. Holocaust could have been anywhere between prevented or at least very mitigated if people would have stood up to Hitler sooner, earlier, at least from our perspective. And that's what God wants from us. God will do what he wants. God wants from us to do what is right based on, common sense and life experience. That is the type of ishtadlus that he demands from us. And it's not me, but that's the Masilas Yesharim. Oh yeah, and that's another series we're going to start. We're going to start a Masilas Yesharim series also. So subscribe to this great channel, and Hashem should help and give wisdom, strength, and support to our glorious President Donald Trump. And Ribbon Shalom, you bring your house back. The main thing is that you should get your house back, right? The Beis Hamikdash, right? But to make things easier for us, right? And first of all, let's say like this: Ribbon Shalom, if you get your house back, right? all our troubles end right away, and that's the main thing. But to make this golus a little bit easier, if God forbid you have decreed that we have to rot here a little bit longer, right? But to make the golus a little bit easier and to hasten the geula coming because the world will be a better place, so let the Republicans get the House back. And they're getting the House back will also be a stepping stone to you getting your house back. But Hekri Bosham, bring your house back right here, right now with Mashiach Tzidkenu. Okay, so we're up to Hey Amid Alf in the Riff pages. I'm Rabbi Yochanan. B'tchila Oymar Shes Vasaytzil Chomer Yotzani Meifi. Right, that Rabbi Yochanan says that the Chazal, this obviously must have happened early. I would imagine it's happened earlier in history, and Rabbi Yochanan, who's in Amora, is just recording a documented fact. That was legislated much earlier. That part and parcel of the Shmona Esrei Nusach, right? Part and parcel of the text of the Shmona Esrei, that has to be said, is to open up with the pasuk Hashem Hashem, open up my lips and my mouth will speak your praises. Every Shmona Esrei that we daven, every Amida that we daven, opens up with that pasuk. And the same thing is true. Every Shmona Esrei, every Amida, Amida, same thing, that we say, be it on a weekday, be on Yom Tov, also ends off with Yul Ratzon Imrei Fi Ve'Gyonli B'Lefanecha Hashem. It should be desirous to you, the words of my mouth and the intent of my heart before you, Hashem, my rock and my redeemer. I cannot tell you with absolute certainty it's from Anshe Knesset himself, but it definitely predates Rav Yochanan, who just wants to give a record of what the proper Nutzach HaTfilah is. We had this earlier, that the Gemara raised, that the Rif brought the Gemara, that you might think that this pasuk is an interaction between the bracha of Gal Yisrael and the bracha of us. Right? Isn't this inserted this pasuk a break between Geula, the bracha of Gal Yisrael, and Tefillah, which is the Shmona Esrei? And the Gemara said, since the Rabbanan, instituted saying Hashem, it's part of Tefillah. It's Tefillah Arichta. Right, so presumably that Rabbanan were the Anshe Knesset Hagedolah who instituted the Shmona Esrei. But either way, presumably that's the Rabbanan that we're talking about. But anyway, it's of great antiquity, that it was considered to be part and parcel of the Nutzach HaTfilah, and Rabbi Yochanan is just recording this fact. Not that Rabbi Yochanan and Amora all of a sudden decided that way, but it was that way for many generations, presumably since the Anshe Knesset themselves. Okay, so Rabbi Yosef Mishum Lezer ben Yaakov, Yosef the son of Chaniah, said the name of Rabbi Lezer the son of Yaakov. Hasoch Chavetz Raglav. When you daven Shmona Esrei, you have to put your legs together. They have to be aligned. The literal word is aligned. Your legs should be aligned. Right, I guess as together as possible. Align them. They should be viewed as together. You should be like an angel. And it says, in the Navi Yecheskel, when you see it, says, and their legs was a single leg. Their legs was a single leg, like a single leg. So we want to be like angels when we in the middle of our Shmona Esrei. We are before God, so we're on an angelic level of being before God. That's the significance of taking the 3 steps forward, walking into a higher plane. And that's also the significance of taking 3 steps backwards. At the end of the Shmona Esrei, we are leaving that plane. Okay. Also, the same person, right? Same set of people, which is Rabbi Yossi, the son of Chaim, the name of Rabbi Lezer, son of Yaakov. How do you know that person who daven should not daven in a high place? It seems that this means a high place. There's, first of all, as we're going to see, the literal thing, literal, that you shouldn't daven on top of a chair, or on top of a small table because you're not going to concentrate because you're going to be afraid of falling. Okay, but then there's also a allusion to it in a pasuk that even if it's not an elevated place, you should still be in a low and humble place, as the pasuk says. It doesn't mean from the depth I call out to you, Hashem. You should be somewhere. No, that's why some shuls were built with going some steps down to enter. I know in Baltimore, yeah, good in Baltimore, where the chazan stands in front of the Aron. There's actually an indentation. He's actually slightly lower than the floor, than the regular floor. Again, the idea of Mimama Kim Krasicha Hashem, from the depth we call it Hashem. There's a philosophical idea to this also, aside from the practical, that on a high place you might be a little bit nervous about falling, and which would distract you from, concentrating on your prayers. Like this in the Bryce, Lo gabe sapsa, lo gabe makom pa'avavitfal. How do we know that a person should not stand not on a chair and not on a bench and not on any high place and daven lefi she'ein daven tzedei makom, right? Because there's a philosophical reason also aside from the practical reasons. You should not be haughty in front of God, standing high, putting yourself like on a pedestal. That haughtiness, you shouldn't be haughty in front of Hashem. So it's even so, meaning to say like this. Let's say you're a professional tightrope walker, right? Right. You still and you have great sense of balance, and you've practiced this. So even if you can concentrate, it will be the wrong thing to do because it's like haughty behavior. So even though I can't prove it to you concretely, but there's an indication of it. There's like something that reminiscent of this idea, even if it's not black on white. From the depth, I call out to Hashem. From the depth could also mean, from a lower place, from a position of a place of humility, which is to be down low. Uksiv, and there's another passage that's tefillah kiyatov, a tefillah for the poor person when he envelops himself in prayer, right? So now, when from there we learned you should be humble like a poor person when you pray. So even if you're not afraid of falling, right? Nonetheless, it's the wrong thing to do, because you should be of great humility when you daven. So now we bring another thing for the same string of people. Rav Yosef Chanin B'Shur Rav ben Yaakov also said Rav Yosef son of Chanin, the name of Rav son of Yaakov. Maseches, what is the pshat in the pasuk? An allegorical pshat of lo sochel adam, do not eat on the blood, which literally is talking about the prohibition of consuming blood of certain, we're not allowed to consume the blood of wildlife, of land dwelling, or which includes fowl. We the Jewish people may not have not chicken blood, not turkey blood, not deer blood, not cow blood or sheep blood or goat blood. All land-dwelling animals, we may not eat their blood. Now, regular land-dwelling animals, fish blood we are allowed to eat. We have to leave some scales in the blood, so no one should suspect you that you're drinking real blood. So we're allowed to have fish blood. The rabbis did not outlaw it. It's not even rabbinically prohibited. It's totally permissible, but again, on condition that you leave some scales in the blood, right? Also, we can have grasshopper blood, but presumably that there's not really much to squeeze out. I know about the grasshoppers that are kosher. I said that their blood is we're allowed to eat. I don't think it really applies. That you could get a cupful of this stuff. But I assume also that if it looks like regular blood, in the event that it's red, obviously there'd have to be some type of sign, so no one should suspect you of consuming any of the prohibited blood. Human blood is rabbinically prohibited. right? Which includes your own. Do not suck a wound, right? The rabbis have prohibited human blood. So even your own blood, right? Even your own blood. They say that blood that's already in the mouth, like an internal wound, you're allowed to swallow, as I remember. But you're allowed to suck your own blood if you have any type of wound. Now, of course, if you have to prevent infection, you suck the blood and spit it out. So you're not allowed to swallow it. Like I said, as far as I recall, if you're bleeding already internally inside your mouth, there is no rabbinic prohibition against swallowing it. But again, ask your local Orthodox rabbi, but that's the way I remember it. Okay, so but that's what that pasuk is really talking about. But over there, there's some more than one drashot, that Chazal, saw in that pasuk. It means other halachot also. Those are them. So he's saying, what does this pasuk refer to in addition to its simplest meaning? Do not eat on the blood. Don't eat before you've prayed for your own blood, meaning the blood referring to life, meaning is one of the many reasons, one of the sources that's prohibited to eat before davening. This is a very important halacha. Now, people have become lax in it because we say we're weak. We can't daven properly if we don't eat. We get hungry. All right, look, you ask your local Orthodox rabbi. Now, myself included, I am lenient to drink coffee before daven on, but we're going to have another halacha that if you do eat, there's eating and eating. If you must eat, because otherwise, you're not going to be able to concentrate. Like I cannot concentrate without my coffee, right? But you're not allowed to eat stuff that causes you a feeling of, not only to eat well or really aristocratic food, fancy food that causes you to feel haughtiness before you daven. Because as we're about to learn, you're supposed to be humble when you daven. The hungry man is humble, and even the guy who ate, if he ate very simple stuff, it doesn't give him a. So even if you are eating, because as we're about to learn, so generally, first and foremost, best not to eat at all, right? You do not eat until you've prayed for your own blood. Even if you say, well, I won't be able to pray unless I eat something, but there's another halacha we're about to learn. If you do it, you can't eat anything fancy. For that reason, some people will have only black coffee. Right now, I myself, I have coffee with milk, but without sugar. Because black coffee is just too bitter. And I don't think, for me personally and many others in this day and age, just milk in the coffee is just to take off the bitter end. It's not like, I don't have no cappuccino with whipped cream or any type of sweetener. I just have straight coffee with a little bit of milk to take off the bitter edge, and that's it. Some people are more stringent than me and have black coffee without not only no sugar, but no milk whatsoever either, which would be a good thing to do. I personally can't take it. But okay, but let's read on. I'm giving away what's coming ahead. I'm doing spoilers. Okay, so let's continue. Right. Rav Yitzchak Yaakov. So Rav Yitzchak said the name of Rav Yochanan, the name of Elazar ben Yaakov, who was also quoted before. Right? On him, anyone who eats and drinks before he davens, on him the pasuk says, "You threw me behind your back." We are, I guess, behind your back or behind your body, but it says don't read it gevecha with a vav, rather geecha. This is what we said before. After this guy, you threw me behind your gecha, your haughtiness. After this guy ate and drank and feels good about himself after you do a good meal, and he comes to accept me as his master. No, out of the humility of not taking care of yourself first, out of that type of humility of not taking care of yourself first, that's how you should accept God. So it's in reference to this continued Gemara that I said that even if you must, because you can't handle eating nothing before davening, don't eat anything that causes you to be haughty. So that's why people may be lenient to have the coffee to wake them up, but not anything solid. And even by the coffee, I should No fancy tastes and whipped cream and all that girly. That was none of that stuff that just straight coffee, preferably black or just enough to take off the bitter edge. Nothing to yeah, nothing that causes you that good feeling that it could be feeling good about yourself, which is like being haughty before you've accepted the yoke of the majesty of heaven. Okay. So now going back to the opinion of Rabbi Yeshua that you can say the morning Shema until after 3 hours. Ajal shows Amar Yehuda Amar Shmuel Rabbi Yeshua. So the Rif brings the statement of Rabbi Yehuda, name of Shmuel, that halacha Rabbi Yeshua, and that is the halacha. So of course it's best if you can finish Shema before sunrise and then go right into Shemona Esrei. But if you can't, you have until 3 hours. That is the halacha. And as far as getting the mitzvah of Shema, the mitzvah it's its own commandment in the 248 commandments of saying Shema aside from davening. So if you want that mitzvah of Shema, you have until 3 hours in the day. 3 hours means 3/12 of the day, as we've said in previous sessions. Amar Rav Yehuda Amar, excuse me, Yaakov Rech lo hifsid koram mikor b'torah mchizu Amar Ukva my hifsid lo hifsid brachas Einachi koram mikama ve'elach lo hifsid koram mikor b'torah Baruch Hu lefanei v'lachareha. So now the Rif leaves it pretty open. We mentioned this. We say if you read it after 3 hours, you didn't lose anything. So Gemara says, what does it mean you didn't lose? You didn't lose the opportunity to say the brachas of Shema before and after. In the morning it's Yotzar V'Choshech, Yotzar Maros, and the bracha Ba'ava Rabba, B'cher V'Moitzo Ba'ava, and then at the end Gal Yisrael. At night it's Mari V'Robim, Oiva Moitzo Lad, and Shomra Moitzo Lad. God and Shomer Moisad, rather. You don't miss those. So, of course, talking about the morning brachas. By the night, you have all night anyway, like we learned. On the second, if you miss those, you have all night, right? You even have past dawn if you were drunk, right? Just you can't say Hashkiven, you lose the last bracha. What about the day Shema? That you could, if you miss the 3 hour mark, you still say the brachas Kriya Shema. But the Rif leaves it wide open that, from the Rif and the Rambam also, it sounds like any time you will read Shema, any time all day long, you will still say the Berachos Kriya Shema. But on the polar opposite extreme, that's what it sounds like. That is the literal reading of the Rif and the Rambam, because it's Adam HaKorah B'Torah, because the words of Shema are like Torah, and these are the brachas that Chazal put around these psukim. That is the literal ring of the words of the Rif, and it's also the literal ring of the words of the Rambam. That is not the halacha. Accepting the Shulchan Aruch as normative halacha for all Jews. Shulchan Aruch and Ramah rule like the Rosh. They say you have exactly one more hour. If you read afterwards, you didn't lose. But after, how long is afterwards? Afterwards is only until the 4th hour. Till Sofsman Tefillah, till the end of the prescribed time of davening, which we're going to learn about later. And after that, you can't say the brachas around Kriya Shema anymore. Okay? And that is the ruling of the Shulchan Aruch. Right? Big problem for Now, however, the popular minhag is to give a person until midday. That so long as you can still daven shacharis, you can still say, like everyone agreed, you can still say the Shemona Esrei of shacharis until chatzos, until midday. And if it's a real emergency, you even have half an hour after that, right? Until Zman HaMincha, until it's mincha time, right? But let's leave it. According to you, there are those that hold the two go hand in hand. As long as you can still daven shacharis, you can still berachos Kriya Shema, and that's what most Jews do. I believe the Hasidim are the ones who popularized that. But before the Hasidim, the normative halacha, which is the way it's Shulchan Aruch, is up to 4 hours, and after that you would only say Shemona Esrei. If you say Shema, you would take Shema without the brachas. The normative is the aside, so long as we're davening Shemona Esrei of Shacharis, we're saying all of Shacharis. But you should know this is a serious issue. Ask your local Orthodox rabbi. Okay. So now we're in the new Mishnah. Beishamrim Berav called them Yatu Kedarka Vikru Bakayamdu. The Beishamai says that also you should not just when you go to sleep and wake up is not just when time wise, but it's also position wise. At night, everyone should like bend, lean, like being almost lying down, almost not quite. Lean and read because like you should be lying down, as it were. But and in the morning you should be standing up. Shanem, Rav says, when you go to sleep, when you get up, when you lay or when you get up. Beis Hillel, but Beis Hillel says, and we always rule like Beis Hillel with very few exceptions. Right? Beis Hillel says, call them Korin. Kedar, could you read it however you're comfortable, both at night and by day, position-wise, meaning time-wise, of course, has to be nighttime and daytime until 3 hours, right? But as far as position, read however you're comfortable. Shadamar, as opposed to you read it, right, as you walk in the road. So you see, you can reach my even on the road, even walking, right? Okay, let me know. So why is it, so why is it Pasuk say when you go, when you lay and when you get up? It's only Bishah Shibnei Adam Sheichvin Ubishah Shibnei Adam. It's only talking about time wise. It was only saying when you lay and when you get up. It was only as in reference to time, not to position. Okay. So the Gemara says the Tana Rabban Beis Omrim Omdin v'Korin Yoshin v'Korin Matikorim Osmathim v'Korin. Right, you could stand and read Shema. You could sit and read Shema. You could be laying and reading Shema. You could even be doing work. Be engaged in your craft, and also read Shema. So of course that last part's be qualified. Whoa. Bahani merely that which we say you can even be doing your work and saying Shema Tzatesi Perek Sheni. That's talking about Frayim Shema and Vayomer. Right, because you don't, because but yeah, but you don't need to have kavana. You don't need to, if you say it without concentrating, you still fulfill the obligations. That's why. Now, of course, about doing work. That means if you are a hired worker, right, you cannot be from on your employer's expense. And say I'm taking Shema, I'm not working. You're on the clock, but it's sorry, but this that hey, you don't be religious at someone else's expense. Hey, sorry about at someone else's expense. If it's your own work, yes, you should stop. No harm will come to you. Stop doing your thing for the second parsha of Shema. Also, talking about if you're on someone else's dime and you're on the clock on someone else's dime, right? So so the second parsha of Shema, and which includes, I believe, the third, you could say while busy with your craft, because you don't have to be intent on what you're saying. Come on, but you're the first chapter, Shema Yisrael, Hashem Elokeinu, Hashem Echad. No, that needs full. You have to concentrate what you're saying. Certainly, the following ruling is going to be on the first two psukim, Shema and Baruch Shem, right? But so that's but but at least you have to at least initiate that first chapter doing nothing except concentrate on the words. Don't be multitasking at that time. So that would take, even when you're engaged in your craft, that is a broad across the board. It is broad and across the board in the second and third parshas of Shema, not in the first one where everyone would, according to some opinions, you have to have intent during that whole parsha, right? But at least at the very first two psukim. So that's a blanket rule. You even say Shema while you're doing your job. That's only by the second parsha and onwards, not by the first parsha of Shema Yisrael, Hashem Elokeinu, Hashem Echad per se. So even if you're on someone else's dime, you have to stop for the first parsha and just concentrate solely and intently and solely on that parsha. Tani Rami Bar Yecheskel also right. So Rami the son of Yecheskel said, if you do like Beit Shammai, it's good. If you do like Beit Hillel, that's also good. Meaning to say this, of course, what do you mean? Everyone agrees on the time. No, so I mean, if you want to be stringent and do not just at the time when people sleep, but also be laying when you say the night Shema. and Dafka be standing there, which that's fine. But that was the opinion of Rabbi Berachos, meaning you're allowed to perform both, do like Beis Shammai and Beis Hillel. Rav Yosef Mar Oscar Beis Shammai Lo Asav Lo Klum. Right now, Rav said, no. If you do like Beis Shammai, the literal saying is you did nothing. It's as if you deserve to lose the reward of the mitzvah, because we should not mix up people. That the halacha is like Beis Hillel. All right, so they're very stringent. It's as if Chazal want to say you don't deserve the merit of your mitzvah if you did it like Beis Shammai, because you should not cause any doubts in the halachic norm that halacha is always like Beis Hillel. Right. Someone who does like Beit Shammai deserves death, because he's again disrupting the halachic norms that the halacha is always like Beit Hillel. Right. Because you should not do something that could cause people to misconstrue and misunderstand, as if the halacha is not always like Beit Hillel, which it is, with very rare exceptions. The time, it's brought down in the Mishnah. Rabbi Tarfon said, V'tisi likros k'u beisav b'tzchati b'tzvi b'elisim amru lo k'dai yisrachu b'nachcha shavu d'bebeto. Rabbi Tarfon told the story that I once was on the road and I got off the donkey to say Shema on the floor like Beis Shammai says, and I was actually put myself in danger because there were robbers on the highway, and then the rabbis told me if the robbers would have gotten you and killed you, you would have deserved it, because you don't do anything that puts the authority of Beit Hillel in question. Right? Now we're up to the next issue. Right? So now, what is well known, that the nusach of Shema the morning is it's surrounded by two brachos at the beginning and one bracha at the end. It's Yotzar Ma'oros, right? And right. And then at the end it's Gal Yisrael. That's the two before Shema and one at the end. At night it's Mariv Haravim, Ohev Amo Yisrael before Shema, and Gal Yisrael and Shomer Amo Yisrael after Shema. The Hamach Bechvado Tani Ochlen Lomed Malkol Masav, that long bracha that's added, that's post Talmudic. That was not the halacha in the Talmudic time. That was added in later days. For people who came to shul at night late, to keep people there a little bit longer, so they should all leave shul together. So they should leave together with the latecomers. I believe that was the reason why it was added. But that's post Talmudic. There's the Mishnah and the Talmud. It's just those two brachas at the end, of Gaisa and Shomer Moisolad. So now one is long, one is short. As you see from the Yotzar Berachos is long, Ava Rabbah is short. Hamari Varavim is long, and Avasalim is short, right? And a place where Chazal have told us that you have to have a long bracha, you can't have a short bracha. A place where it said that it should be short, you can't make it long. You can't lengthen the bracha and insert your own. You got to stick to the program, stick to point liturgy, right? And a place where they have to say to end off, Baruch Atah Hashem, Baal Yitzhak, Baruch Atah Hashem, Shomer Amo Yisrael, right? So that's how you have to end off. And a place where you say you don't end off the bracha with a final blessing, you don't. Always stick to the exact liturgy that Chazal gave you. Keep the Matbeah Shetovu Chachamim, the actual text that the Chazal coined. So now the Gemara is getting into the details that the Mishnah said. The amount of brachas didn't give us the actual text. So now says the Gemara that the Rif brings. Right? You make a bracha, which opens up, as we know from the pasuk in Yishai, Yotzar V'Choshech, he who fashions like great darkness. Remember Yotzar V'Noga. Why do you have to call it? Why can't we like alter text say he creates light and creates noga, which could be read as it's another form of light. Why do we have to mention darkness? It's the bracha of the day Shema. Why do you have to talk about borei choshech? Right? So Amar Bar Ula Kides Kibidas Yom Balayla. Right? We want to mix the two. We want to have a little bit of night mentioned by day, a little bit of day mentioned by night, to show that God is king of the day and night. So even when we're coronating him over the day, we want to mention, and he's king of the night also. Don't think only of the day. When we're coronating him over the night, I don't think he's only the king of night, he's king of the day. So it's important that even when we're coronating him over a specific part of the day, to make reference. And by the way, he's king of the other part also. That other part also. So that's why I want to mention the night by day when coronating him by day. We want to mention the day by night when coronating him by night. Right? So Yotzev Berachos Midas Yom Balayla. So excuse me, Midas Laila Bayom. So in what way do we mention an aspect of night by day? We shtup it in the bracha of the day Shema. God fashions light and creates darkness. So so which you figure out, we're coronating him right now as king of the day. You should know he created the nighttime also, right? How do we mention the day by an aspect of day by night? As we say in the bracha that we say by the Mariv, right? Go or Mayor, he rolls away light before darkness. As he brings in darkness, he rolls away the light because of the coming of darkness. But he will, and we also mentioned, by the way, said, and he will, roll away night, with the coming of the day, right? When he will roll away night because, faced by day. So that's how we make a quick mention. And by the way, daytime also, he's the king. Just like he brings the night, he also brings the day. What is the second bracha? Shema Amar Rav Yehuda Amar Shmuel Ava Rabba Rav Amri Avas Olam. So Rav Yehuda in the name of Shmuel said Ava Rabba, and the Rabbanan say Avas Olam, which is the way the Sephardim have it. They go like the Rabbanan, which is the riff. Right. So now this the Rif, who is the leader of the whole Sephardic chain of Psak. This is the way he understood the final conclusion of the Gemara. Avas Olam is the correct text, and that's what the Sephardim said. It say, as far as I know, Avas Olam both at morning and at night. We the Ashkenazim say Ava Rabba by morning, Avas Olam at night. And the different customs, but his reading of the Gemara, his understanding of the Gemara is more ruled with the definity that Avas Olam is the correct, the correct thing, because it's based on a pasuk. The pasuk says, Avas Olam, I love you forever. Avas Olam, not Avram, great love, but Avas Olam. That Chazal fashioned the prayer liturgy, the Nutzach HaTfilah, based on that pasuk of Avas Olam. That's why Avas Olam is the correct text. And then the Rif actually figured out where the Ashkenazim would bring, even though he didn't see the Ashkenazi way, but he figured out where an alternate way of learning may arise, and he thought of what someone else may say, and he negated it. And that's what he goes on to say. Right, Rav Yehuda said in Shmuel that if you get up to learn before you read Kriyat Shema, you have to say Berachos Torah, which is what we do. We do a little bit of learning before davening. We say the pasuk of Berachos Kohanim, and we say El Dorm Chiur, so we make Berachos Torah, right, which is Hamla B'Torah Moisah, and then Asher Bachar Bonim Mikol Amim. But the Rav Yehuda says in Shmuel that what you say Berachos Torah is only if you're saying Torah before you said Shema. But if you went and you jumped in, you started saying Berachos Kriyat Shema with the tzibur, you don't have to say Berachos HaTorah anymore, because Ava Rabba, that bracha that we say right before the morning Shema, has in it Torah mitzvahs, has in it, a prayer, Hashem, make us understand your Torah, enlighten our eyes in your Torah. That counts as the bracha on the Torah. So you don't have to make a bracha on your learning afterwards. And it does, because you already have fulfilled your obligation to make Berachos HaTorah with Ava Rabba. That's a proof that Ava Rabba is the correct text for the morning Shema. And that's the basis for the Ashkenazi way. So the Rif, figured that someone might say that, and the Rif negates that and says, no, even in the morning, according to the Rif, which is the Sephardic way, you should say Avas Olam, right? It says, Ahu, Member the Shmuel, do more the Shmaitz Kamais or Rabbanon Pligyale, Vakvar Itchei Hada Shmuel. Right, so now that's because that was reviewed as talking name of Shmuel, and so reviewed the name of Shmuel is talking, according to himself. He's the guy who said a few lines earlier, Ava Rabba. Right? So of course, when he says any other halacha that could possibly cross over with his version of how the bracha should be worded, of course he'll say it. So like he's saying a halacha, right, that the bracha right before the morning Shema, counts as Berachos HaTorah. Of course, as whichever one agrees to that halacha, right, that bracha counts for Berachos HaTorah. So of course he's going to say it over his way, according to the text that he holds of. But we refute. But according to Rif, he was refuted as far as his version of the text. So this halacha is true that the bracha right before Shema counts as Berachos HaTorah, but the guy who was saying it over, reviewed in the name of Shmuel, was also saying it over according to his own text, that you're already exempted from Berachos HaTorah with Ava Rabba, because he was saying it over the way it's written in his siddur, in the way he felt the siddur should be written. But as far as that text issue of what should be the text, he was refuted. So the halacha is true that bracha counts as Berachos Kriyat Shema, but he was saying it over according to the text that he thinks is correct, and he was refuted on that issue of what the correct text of it ought to be. Right? Right. The Tanakh comes to Rabban. First of all, we was refuted because we found a brisa just like the Rabban. Oh my and even though he already figured out what the Ashkenazim, he didn't even meet the Ashkenazim, but he figured out what other people might say, because there are probably other nuskos that he was aware of, which subsequently, we would say in retrospect is the Ashkenazi way. Says every time you're going to find allusions to that bracha as being called Ava Rabba, the bracha of Ava Rabba, it's all because they're just, they're grabbing onto the expression of the Yehuda in the name of Shmuel. They're just grabbing onto his expression, but because he called it Ava Rabba. He called it that because that's how he felt it ought to be written. So that became like the name of that bracha, but that's not the proper text of that bracha. The proper text is Avas Olam. And just the Gemara started using Ava Rabba as like the name of that bracha. It's an expression. It's not indicative of what the real text should be. The real text should be Avas Olam. All right. So now we go now into this. When do you have to make Berachos HaTorah? So we go once we mentioned Berachos HaTorah. When do you have to make Berachos HaTorah? Any type of learning. Now in the end, we're going to rule that any type of learning, any type of Torah learning requires Berachos HaTorah. But there are different opinions on it. So before we get to the final ruling, the Rif brings down all the opinions. All right. Amar Rav Huna lemikra tzarich levarach mishnah v'talmud el tzarich barach. So the Rif brings that Rav Huna held that the Berachos HaTorah is only for psukim. That's Chazal Metakin to make these brachos before reading psukim. But the oral law, the Mishnah and the Talmud, you don't have to make Berachos HaTorah, right? Rabbi Yochanan said, no, Mishnah also, you have to make Berachos HaTorah because Mishnah is like a pasuk. The Torah Shabbat became like a book, even though it's still oral, but it was, Mishnah is when the Torah Shabbat became like a book form. So the Berachos HaTorah goes, be it on the Psukim, be it on the Mishnah, right, which is a set text. The Talmud but Talmud does not require a bracha because Talmud is an intellectual exercise. It's not a set text. That's Rabbi Yochanan. Rav Lezer Marfil Talmud Torah Levarech. Rav Lezer said, for Talmud also you have to make Berachos Torah, even though the Talmud is not really a set text, especially in the days that they're talking. Before the Talmud's formulated, it's not a set text. It's an actual exercise of comparing, contrasting. But Rav Lezer said Talmud also requires, but they weren't lemedrash. You're learning a gadativ, drush. Chazal, he doesn't believe the Chazal were metakim Berachos Torah for it, right? Rav Amar Flu medrash nami tzorach levarech, but Rav, says, his opinion is, and we saved it for last, even though it's earlier. Well, certainly not later than Rav Huna, right? But we saved him for last because he is the final conclusion. We like it says even for medrash, you have to make Berachos Torah. All types of Torah learning. If you figure it out, between this, all types of Torah learning is there. Because if I'm learning Musar, that's medrash. Especially if again it's talking about a Musar. Like from a sefer that's going to quote psukim and deal with the psukim in a musari way, right? That's not worse than medrash, right? If using Torah for moral messages, that's medrash, right? So it comes out all types of learning, Torah learning, all forms of Torah learning. There's like saying Musar in a pure abstract way. You got to be good. You got to be kind. You got to be okay. If something like that, you would not make Berachos Torah. But what about our Musar Sfarim? They'll start with a pasuk and they'll combine it with something else. That's medrash already. That's drush, right? So it's not worse than what we call homiletics. That's what it's called. It's not worse than that. So between these three, any type of conventional Jewish learning, Hasidus, Kabbalah, Drush, Musar, any classical Jewish text will require Berachos Torah, right? According to Rav, because we're talking about not just Psukim, but even Mishnah, even Talmud, even Medrash, everything requires Berachos Torah. Okay, and that's the final ruling. That's what we pass. Rav Barashi, right? Rav Chia, the son of Barashi, had said, since we're going to have a kamei to Rav, the Tzuri Pirkin, Besifra, the Beirav, there are many times that I was, before Rav, to learn a parak of Safra to Beirav. That's Medrash Halacha. That's Medrash, that's built around Chumash. Safra, Paras Kohanim, right? So Safra, Sifra, it's Drush. You start with a pasuk, you start dealing with it. Al Pi Drush, homiletics, the Kana Masha Barachi. So first, before we began to learn from the Safra, which is Medrash, he washed his hands and he made the bracha Masa Pirkin, right? And he taught us our chapter, the lesson of the day. Also, Rav Hai Gon also comes say to Rav, and then Hago comes say Rav Hai Gon clearly ruled, says the Rif, the Hachas like Rav, and that is also the custom. Now, what is the actual text of Berachos Torah? All right. Another thing that there were various opinions until we finally various. So Amar of Yehuda Barashi, Al Divrei Torah, right? So Rav Yehuda, son of Ashi, said, Al Divrei Torah. That was their text. Our text of this bracha that's being referred to is last of the Divrei Torah. The Rif was Al Divrei Torah. You command us onwards, Torah. We say, we in our nusach it's last of the Divrei Torah. It is to engage in the words of Torah. So that's the bracha that we, that's the bracha that we make, in the morning, the first bracha. And he held that is the one and only bracha. Rav Maharav Nashem Lokeinu and Rav Yochanan said, no, there's Harav Nashem. Which is the second bracha we make, but Rav Yochanan held that was the one and only. So Rav Yehuda Barashi held the first bracha is the one that is Berachos Torah. So he would say last with the Torah, and then he would immediately start learning. So he said no, Harav no, and then and then start learning. Rav Huna says, no, it's bless you Hashem that chose from all the nations and gave us his Torah. Baruch Hashem who gives the Torah. Right, and now that is the best bracha to say. That's the most beautiful bracha. That's most apropos. Hashem, chose us and gave us a star. That's the best bracha to make on learning. And Amar Papa Kulu, they're all good. So we say them all, and that is indeed our custom. Custom for all Jews. We make all three brachas. Hameled, Torah, Moitzro, Harivna, which ends off, sorry, we say Lasuk b'divrei Torah, the first bracha, Hamlat Torah Moitzro, which opens up Harivna, and Asher Bacha Bana Bracha Hashem Nasan Torah. We make all three brachas. Yeah, all three brachas. Yes, and that's the halacha for everybody. Okay, guys, please subscribe to the channel, get updates for all the special programs for tonight and tomorrow. All Lili Nishmas Mori Varabi, Rav Moshe Ben, Rav Yitzchak Hagon, Maran, Rav Moshe Shapiro, Zechat Tzaddik Kosher Bracha. And also go to my website, go to this address, and plenty of stuff from Rav Moshe Shapiro over there. And subscribe to the channel, get notifications. Take care, everybody.